Hey Mark, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going, Jesse?
I'm doing all right. How are you?
I'm good. It's nice to be back on the Jesse Show.
Every time, man. Well, I don't know if you can, I know we were talking a little bit earlier, but I'm clearing my throat. I'm trying to get my illness under control here. I have a little bit of a cold, but it's kind of important this time to actually figure that out because you and I'm gonna be on the Mark show tomorrow night. We're
I don't know about the Mark Show.
You know about that. All right. I was trying to throw it back at you, man. Um, but we're doing our awesome advocacy uh, department is doing, I can come up with words. Our advocacy department is doing a citizen training series of virtual events, activism. And you and I will be leading the one tomorrow night on storytelling for change. Are you feeling ready for that?
As ready as I'll ever be.
I know they kind of tapped our shoulder and asked us if we would help out with the training. We were excited about that, and we kicked around a couple of different ideas and different ways to tackle it, and tried to think about what we could do. We landed on storytelling. I remember you were a big part of that. What made you think that storytelling was kind of the way to center this event?
Oh, because storytelling can be particularly powerful. Um, I remember hearing Leonard Pitts, the Pulitzer Prize winning columnist for McClatchy,
Mm-hmm.
talking about the power of storytelling.
Mm-hmm.
And it really stayed with me. His story stayed with me. And he said basically that if you were to tell me that the Nazis were carrying out this horrible plan to kill 6 million human beings,
Mm-hmm.
that the vastness of that evil was something that he really couldn't wrap his mind around. But if you told him about a little girl and her family hiding from the Nazis and what eventually happened to her,
Mm-hmm.
and then asked me to extrapolate that out over 6 million times, I'd have a clearer sense of what happened. I'd be better able to understand it because when you tell a story, what you do is you kind of close the emotional distance
Right.
between what you really want people to understand and the reality.
Mm-hmm.
And people tend to remember stories,
Right.
but when you approach them with a lot of facts and figures, sometimes their eyes glaze over.
Right. Right.
So the story is a good way to implant not just good information, uh, but to get that hook set inside them, so that you can pull them in and win them over, and then have them also understand the power and gravity of what you're trying to do.
Right, right. Well, and that's a big part of our work here. It occurred to me of like we work a lot with like lawsuits and legislation and ordinances and these things that are inherently jargon heavy, semantics heavy. I mean, you very much have to, like when you introduce legislation, it's a lot of closing the loops on like if A then B ergo C but not to exceed D, or kind of these mechanical pieces. And storytelling is the way that you take that from being this jargon, this language, this whatever, and you make it not about the piece of paper that's written on, but the people that it's going to affect. I know one of the things we're going to dive into, we kind of want to give some of the backstory, give some of the mechanics of how we think about doing our job and the things that we look at, but we also want to give examples. And one of the examples I know we're going to dive into is the Wichita Non-Discrimination Ordinance and how we worked on that, because it was very much a situation of conversations passing each other and very much a rhetorical exercise of, there were some conversations that were about, well, who's going to arbitrate and what are the penalties going to be and the processes and the timelines and whatever. But a lot of our work and a lot of the work of our partners who worked on that with us was not about the words on a piece of paper, but about the people it affects, the people who live in Wichita right now and are being denied service at restaurants because of who they are.
You know, I'd say this if you weren't here, Jesse, but you did an incredible job of centering people um, in our work about the Indio. You put the people, their lives, their experiences in the center.
Yeah.
And whenever you can do that, it's just very powerful.
Yeah, and that's where it was such the perfect counter though to some of the like the idea, like one of the things that, and I've joked about this with you is and joked, and I mean whatever, it's maybe not the perfect word, but those who were opposing the ordinance would keep coming up and saying, well, this is redundant, like we have, you know, we have state laws, we have federal laws, this is redundant. And the joke that I told you is so many people came up and said that they themselves were redundant, like they were the very thing. But the idea that those protections are not permanent and they're not always accessible, so that's where centering the real stories of this is someone who's actually experienced these things, this is why what we have in place is inadequate, and additionally those protections that are in place aren't fail safe. I mean, we're seeing that in other instances where we thought that we had protections and then we see that they can be whittled away or taken away by a court case or a change in law or a change in administrative priorities or whatever. I mean, those can be really fickle. So the idea of, I mean, these people would make horrible engineers. They would be like, what are you talking about suspension for? We already have pillars. The suspension will be redundant. And it's like, yeah, something's important. If you like a bridge not falling down or civil liberties being accessible to everybody, you have to build some redundancy in there in case one part of it fails. You don't want that to fail. So yeah, so very much, I think that's a good example. And like I said, I think it ties in really well to what you were saying is you can get bogged down in the semantics sometimes, but remembering and centering the people that their real lives are going to be affected by the work that you do, I think is so important too. So I'm really looking forward to it, Mark. I know you and we've run through it a couple of times, and we've been talking about it.
You might want to share, you know, when and where people can tune in.
That's a good shout, Mark. That's a really good idea. I'll put it below us too, so the information will be available. But for those of you audio only, no, that's a great shout. It's tomorrow night, so it's December 7th. It's at 6:30. The sign up link is really easy right now. It's aclukansas.org/event, and that's gonna just take you right to the sign up. So make sure you get RSVP'd so you can sign up, and then you'll get the link, you'll get the whatever you need to log in, and you'll get the reminder on your calendar. So make sure you're there. So
I appreciate you having me on the Jesse Show once again.
I will
tell you, at some point you're going to have to book another guest besides me.
I'll see. I don't know, but you just keep it. I mean, excel so much that it'd only be a downgrade. So thank you so much for your time, Mark.
All right. Take care.
All right. See you tomorrow.
Bye-bye.